The Nunda, Eater of People, from the Violet Fairy Book. Once upon a time there lived a sultan who loved his garden dearly, and planted it with trees and flowers and fruits from all parts of the world. He went to see them 3 times every day, first at 7 o'clock, then he got up, then at 3, and lastly at 5:30.
Field's, design for the Xbox Series X engine would be that would make I would
Sorry about that.
happily roll through Oblivion again and do another 40 to 80 hour playthrough. I mean, I've got a couple hundred
There was no plant and no vegetable which escaped his eye,
hours into Oblivion.
but he lingered longest of all before his one date tree.
I'd love to see it on the new.
Now, the Sultan had 7 sons. 6 of them he was proud of, for they were strong and manly. But the youngest he disliked, for he spent all his time among the women of the house. The Sultan had talked to him, and he paid no heed, and he had beaten him, and he paid no heed, and he tied him up, and he paid no heed.
Because I've talked about this on Unlocked so many times,
Till at last his father grew very tired of trying to make him change his ways, and let him alone. Childish.
talk about our Xbox showcase.
Do not do this to your children. Time passed, and one day the Sultan, to his great joy, saw signs of fruit on his date tree. And he told his vizier, "My date tree is bearing."
Maybe the last couple.
And he told the officers, "My date tree is bearing." And he told the judges, "My date tree is bearing." And he told all the rich men of the town. He waited patiently for some days until the dates were nearly ripe, and then he called his 6 sons and said, "One of you must watch the date tree till the dates are ripe, for if not watched, the slaves will steal them all, and I shall not have any for another year." And the oldest son answered, "I will go, father," and he went. The first thing the youth did was to summon his slaves, and bid them to beat the drums all night under the date tree, for he feared to fall asleep. So the slaves beat the drums, and the young man danced till 4 o'clock, and then it grew so cold that he could dance no longer. And one of the slaves said to him, "It is getting light, the tree is safe. Lie down, master, and go to sleep." So he lay down and slept, and his slaves slept likewise. A few minutes went by, and a bird flew down from the neighboring thicket and ate all of the dates, without leaving a single one. That was a hungry bird. And when the tree was stripped bare, the bird went as it had come. Soon after, one of the slaves woke up and looked for the dates, but there were no dates to be seen. Then he ran to the young man and shook him, saying, "Your father set you to watch the tree, and you have not watched, and the dates have all been eaten by a bird."
but
How would he know?
right.
The lad jumped up and ran to the tree to see for himself, but there was not a date anywhere. And he cried aloud, "What am I going to say to my father? Shall I tell him that the dates have been stolen?" Ooh, I'm small.
Neither one of you is disagreeing with me, so I think.
For that a great rain fell and a great storm blew.
So Doom Year Zero.
But he will send me to gather them up and bring them to him.
Doom Eternal.
And there are none to bring.
That story really did get.
Shall I tell him that the
At the end of that
Bedouins drove me away, and when I returned there were no dates? And he will answer, "You had slaves, did you not fight with the Bedouins?" It is the answer that will best, and that is what I will tell him. Then he went straight to his father and found him sitting on the veranda with his 5 sons around him, and the lad bowed his head. "Give me news from the garden," said the Sultan. And the youth answered, "The dates have been eaten by some bird. There's not one left."
when he was first around. So about that, but that does seemingly resolve the question.
The Sultan was silent for a moment. Then he asked,
Was originally listed for.
"Where were you when the bird came?"
It's very, very, very likely that
The lad answered, "I watched the date tree till the cocks were crowing, and it was getting light. Then I lay down a little for sleep. When I woke, a slave was standing over me and said, 'There's not one date left on the tree.' And I went to the date tree and saw it was true. And that is what I have come to tell you."
that's a full, 3.5 year dev cycle on that. Even a little more, like 3.
And the Sultan
4
replied,
years.
"A son like you is only good for eating and sleeping. I have no use for you. Go your way, and when my date tree bears again, I will send another son. Perhaps he will be better."
Software, and maybe id is still doing Quake or something else, but there are no other project code names listed in 2024 here. So I think the odds are pretty good that Doom Year's is a.
So we waited many months, till the tree was covered with more dates than any tree had ever borne before. When they were near ripening, he sent one of his sons to the garden, saying, "My son, I am longing to taste those dates. Go and watch over them. For today's sun will bring them to perfection." And the lad answered, "My father, I'm going now, and tomorrow, when the sun has passed over the hour of 7, bid a slave come and gather the dates." "Swinging in bunches." "Food," said the Sultan. The youth went to the tree and lay down and slept. And about midnight he arose to look at the tree, and the dates were all there. Beautiful dates, swinging in the branches.
You want to rage again? I'm gonna say it out loud.
"Ah, my father will have a feast indeed," he thought. "What a fool my brother was to not take more heed. Now he is in disgrace, and we know him no more. Well, I will watch till the bird comes. I should like to see what manner of bird this is." And he sat and read till the cocks crew, and it grew light, and the dates were still on the tree. "Oh, my father will have his dates. They're all safe now," he thought to himself. "I will make myself comfortable against the tree." And he leaned against the trunk, and sleep came upon him. And the bird flew down and ate all the dates. When the sun rose, the head man came looking for the dates, and there were no dates to be seen. And he woke the young man and said to him, "Look at the tree!"
Play in some other spaces. Like I really did think that Hi-Fi Rush was a really nice kind of addition to the Bethesda series.
And the young man looked, and there were no dates.
And I want to see more stuff. We'll see.
And his ears were stopped, and his legs trembled, and his tongue grew heavy at the thought of the Sultan. His slave became frightened as he looked at him and asked, "My master, what is it?"
All right, let's the last big piece of this. There are some other.
He answered, "I have no pain anywhere, but I am ill everywhere. My whole body is well, and my whole body is sick. I fear my father, for I did not say to him, 'Tomorrow at 7 you shall taste the dates,' and he will drive me away as he drove away my brother. I will go away myself before he sends me."
Smaller piece, but last big piece of this.
Then he got up and took the road that led straight past the palace, but he had not walked many steps before he met a man carrying a large silver dish, covered with a white cloth, to cover the dates. And the young man said, "The dates are not ripe yet. You must return tomorrow." And the slave went with him to the palace, where the Sultan was sitting with his 4 sons.
2028 is the plan, or at least it was the plan.
"Good greeting, master," said the youth. And the Sultan returned, "Have you seen the man I sent?" "I have, master, but the dates are not yet ripe."
Whole pandemic in there.
The Sultan did not believe his words and said, "The second year I've eaten no dates because of my sons. Go your ways. You are my son no longer." Damn.
The plan is for this to be an 8-year.
And the Sultan looked at the 4 sons that were left him, and promised rich gifts to whoever of them bring him the dates from the tree. But year by year passed, and he never got them.
And you know what, Destin? I've been talking.
One son tried to keep himself awake with playing cards. Another mounted a horse and rode around and around the tree.
So keyed into all the hard.
All the 2 others, whom their father, as a last hope, sent together, lit bonfires. But whatever they did, the result was always the same. Towards dawn they fell asleep, and the bird ate all of the dates. The 6th year had come, and the dates on the tree were thicker than ever. And the head man went to the palace and told the Sultan what he had seen. But the Sultan only shook his head and said sadly, "What is it to me? I have had 7 sons, yet for 5 years a bird has devoured my dates. And this year it will be the same as ever."
Doing an analysis piece about what this means because I don't
Now, the youngest son was sitting in the kitchen, as was his custom, when he heard his father say those words.
understand.
And he rose up and went to his father and knelt before him. "Father, this year you shall eat dates," cried he. "And on the tree are 5 great bunches, and each bunch I will give to a separate nation, for the nations in the town are 5. This time I will watch the date tree myself. But his father and his mother laughed heartily and thought his words idle talk.
Used in smaller devices, mobile devices, so it's
Poor kid. One day, news was brought to the Sultan that the dates were ripe, and he ordered one of his men to go and watch the tree. His son, who happened to be standing by, heard the orders and said, "How is it that you have bidden a man to watch the tree, when I, your son, am left?" And his father answered, 6 were of no use, and where they failed, will you, of all, succeed?
A Taylor level.
But the boy replied,
Sure.
"Have patience today, and let me go, and tomorrow you shall see whether I bring your dates or not." "Let the child go, master," said his wife. "Perhaps we shall eat the dates, or perhaps we shall not. But let him go." And the Sultan answered, "I do not refuse to let him go, but my heart distrusts him. His brothers all promised fair, and what did they do?" But the boy entreated, saying, "Father, if you and I and mother be alive tomorrow, you shall eat dates." Oh, that could go the wrong way. "Go then," said his father. When the boy reached the garden, he told the slaves to leave him, and to return home themselves and sleep. When he was alone, he laid himself down and slept fast until 1 o'clock, when he arose, and sat opposite the date tree. Then he took some Indian corn out of one of the folds of his dress, and some sandy grit out of the other. And he chewed the corn until he felt he was growing sleepy, and then he put some grit into his mouth. And that kept him awake until the bird came. It looked about the first without seeing him, and whispering to itself, "There's no harm here," fluttered lightly onto the tree and stretched out its beak for the dates. Then the boy stole up softly and caught it by the wing. The bird turned and flew quickly away, but the boy never let go, not even when they soared high into the sky. "Son of Adam," the bird said when the tops of the mountains looked small below them, "if you fall, you will be dead long before you reach the ground, so go your way and let me go mine." But the boy answered, "Wherever you go, I will go with you. You cannot get rid of me." "I did not eat your dates," persisted the bird, "and the day is dawning. Leave me to go my way." But again the boy answered him, "My 6 brothers are hateful to my father because you came and stole the dates. And today my father shall see you, and my brother shall see you, and all the people of the town, great and small, shall see you, and my father's heart will rejoice." "Well, if you do not leave me, I will throw you off," said the bird. So it flew up higher still, so high that the earth shone like one of the other stars.
Learning stuff. Some of those things. The fact that Microsoft is thinking about and expanding.
"How much of you will be left if you fall from here?" That's the bird. If I die, I die, said the boy, but I will not leave you. And the bird saw that it was no use talking, and went down to the earth again. Here you are at home. Let me go my way, it begged once more. Or at least make a covenant with me. What covenants? Said the boy. Save me from the sun, replied the bird, and I will save you from the rain. How can you do that? How can I tell if I can trust you? Pull a feather from my tail and put it in the fire, and if you want me, I will come to you wherever I am. And the boy answered, Well, I agree. Go your way. Farewell, my friend. When you call me, it is from the depths of the sea I will come. The lad watched the bird out of sight, and he went straight to the date tree. And when he saw the dates, his heart was glad. And his body felt stronger, and his eyes brighter than before. And he laughed out loud with joy, and said to himself, This is my luck, mine. Sit in the kitchen. Farewell, date tree, I'm going to lie down. We ate you. We'll eat you no more. What ate you will eat you no more. The sun was high in the sky before the head man, whose business it was to come to look at the date tree, expecting to find it stripped of all its fruit. But when he saw the dates so thick that they almost hid the leaves, he ran back to the house and beat a big drum till everybody came running, and even the little children wanted to know what had happened. Where is it? Where is it, headman? Cried they. It is not a son that the master has, but a lion. This day sit in the kitchen was uncovered his face before his father. But how, headman? Today the people eat many dates. Is it true, headman? Oh, yes, it is true, but let him sleep till each man has brought forth a present. He who has fowls, let him take fowls. He who has a goat, let him take a goat. He who has rice, let him take rice, etc., etc. And the people did as he had said. Then they took the drum and went to the tree where the boy lay sleeping. And they picked him up and carried him away, with horns and clarinets and drums, with clapping of hands and shrieks of joy, straight to his father's house.
Again, I think everybody's trying to get to 4K 60.
When his father heard the noise and saw the baskets made of green leaves brimming over with dates, and his son borne high on the necks of slaves, his heart leapt, and he said to himself, Today, at last, I shall eat dates. And he called his wife to see what her son had done, and ordered his soldiers to take the boy and bring him to his father. What news, my son? If you couldn't hear. News? I have no news except that you will open your mouth and you shall see what dates taste like. And he plucked a date and put it in his father's mouth. Ah, you are indeed my son, cried the Sultan. You do not take after those fools, those good-for-nothings, but tell me. What did you do with the bird? For it was you, and only you, who watched for it. Yes, it was I who watched for it and who saw it. And it will not come again, neither for its life, nor for your life, nor for the lives of your children. Oh, once I had 6 sons, and now I have only 1. It is you whom I called a fool, who have given me the dates. As for the others, I want none of them. Damn. But his wife rose up and went to him and said, Master, pray not. I pray you do not reject them. And she entreated him long, till the Sultan granted her prayer, for she loved the 6 elder ones more than her last one. So they all lived quietly at home, till the Sultan's cat went and caught a calf. Mm-hmm. 2 days after, the cat caught a cow. And the Sultan was told, Master, the cat has caught a cow. But he only said, It was my cow and my cat. Tales. And the cat waited a few days, and then it caught a donkey. And they told the Sultan, Master, the cat has caught a donkey. And he said, My cat and my donkey. Next, it was a horse, and after that a camel. And when the Sultan was told, he said, You don't like this cat, and want me to kill it, and I shall not kill it. Let it eat the camel. Let it even eat the man. What? And they waited until the next day and caught someone's child. And the Sultan was told, The cat has caught a child, and he said, The cat is mine, and the child is mine. Then it caught a grown-up man. After that, the cat left the town and took up its abode in a thicket near the road. So if anyone passed going to water, it devoured them. Whatever went along that road, the cat caught and ate. Then the people went to the Sultan in a body, and told him all of the misdeeds of the cat. And no man dared kill the cat, which grew bolder and bolder, and at last came into the town to look for its prey. Kitty. One day the Sultan said to his 6 sons, I am going to the country to see how the wheat is growing, and you shall come with me. They went on their merry way down the road, till they came to a thicket, when out sprang the cats and killed 3 of the sons. The cat! The cat! Shrieked the soldiers who were with them. And this time the Sultan said, Seek for it and kill it, It is no longer a cat, but a demon. And the soldiers answered him, Did we not tell you, master, what the cat was doing? Did you not say, my cat and my people? And he answered, True, I said that. Now the youngest son had not gone with the rest, but had stayed home with his mother. And when he heard that his brothers had been killed by the cat, he said,
Where it's not going to be just about.
Let me go, that it may slay me also. His mother entreated him not to leave her, but he would not listen. And he took his sword and a spear and some rice cakes, and went after the cat, which by this time had run off a great distance. The lad spent many days hunting the cat, which now bore the name of the Nunda, eater of people. Halfway through the story, we get to the title. But though he killed many wild animals, he saw no trace of the enemy he was hunting for. There was no beast, however fierce, that he was afraid of, till at last his father and mother begged him to give up the chase of the Nunda. But he answered, What I have said I cannot take back. If I am to die, then I die. But every day I must go and seek for the Nunda. Many times his slaves came and told him, We have seen footprints, and today we shall behold the Nunda. But the footprints never turned out to be those of the Nunda. They wandered far enough through deserts and through forests, and at length came to a foot of a great hill. And something in the boy's soul whispered that here was the end of all their seeking, and today they would find the Nunda.
It's going to be about.
But before they began to climb the mountain, the boy offered his slaves to cook some rice. And they rubbed a stick and make the fire, and when the fire was kindled, they cooked the rice and ate it. Then they began their climb. Suddenly, when they had almost reached the top, a slave who was on their front cried, Master! Master! And the boy pushed to where the slave stood, and the slave said, Cast your eyes down to the foot of the mountain. And the boy looked, and his soul told him it was the Nunda. And he crept down with a spear in his hand. Then he stopped and gazed below him. This must be the real Nunda, he thought. My mother told me its ears were small. This one's ears are small. She told me it was broad and not long, and this is broad and not long. She told me it had the spots of a civet cat, and this has the spots of a civet cat. And then he left the Nunda lying asleep at the foot of the mountain, and went back to his slaves. We will feast today, said he. Make cakes of batter and bring water. And they ate and drank. And when they finished, he bade them to hide the rest of the food in the thickets, that if he slew Nunda, they might return and eat and sleep before going back to the town. And the slaves did as he bade them. It was now afternoon, and the lad said, It is time we went after the Nunda. And they went until they reached the bottom, and came upon the great forest, which lay between them and the Nunda. Here the lad stopped, and ordered every slave that wore 2 cloths to cast one away, and tuck up the other between his legs. For, he said, the wood is not a little one. Perhaps we may be caught by the thorns, or perhaps we may have to run before the Nunda, and the cloth might bind our legs. Because and cause us to fall before him.
It's different, but the way you kind of move towards
And they answered, Good, master, and did as he bade them. Then they crawled on their hands and knees toward the Nunda lay asleep. Noiselessly they crept along until they were quite close to it. But then, at a sound from the boy, they threw their spears. The Nunda did not stir. The spears had done their work. But a great fear seized them all, and they ran away and climbed the mountain. The sun was setting when they reached the top, and glad they were to take out the fruit and cakes and the water which they had hidden away, and sit down and rest themselves. And after they had eaten and were filled, they lay down and slept till morning. When the dawn broke, they rose up and cooked more rice and drank more water. After that, they walked all around the back of the mountain to the place where they had left the Nunda, and they saw it stretched out, where they had found it, stiff and dead. And they took it up and carried it back to the town, singing as they went, We killed the Nunda, eater of people. Okay.
Using AI, yeah, okay.
Fidelity FX2. Yeah.
And when his father heard the news and that his son was come, and was bringing the Nunda with him, he felt that a man did not dwell on the earth whose joy was greater than this. And the people bowed down to the boy and gave him presents and loved him, because he had delivered them from the bondage of fear and had slain the Nunda.